Hi, JCPS math friends. My name is Elizabeth Reed, and I'm a math instructional coach with CDLI. I'm here to share some ideas with you on how we might incorporate number talks in our NTI classroom environment. I've been doing a ton of reading about managing this time of non-traditional instruction. Recently, Dr. Coleman shared an article from Edutopia. I love the points the author makes about the need to shift our mindsets as educators and to embrace failure. Trial and error will get us through this experience. We talk to our students about growth mindset and NTI as an opportunity to truly lead by example. What an unexpected gift to have space to innovate and be creative with our teaching. This got me thinking about repurposing tools that we and our students are familiar with that can help us keep the focus on connection and content. Another article that has been recommended in several forums is from the National Association of School Psychologists. Among their recommendations for helping children cope with the changes we are currently experiencing is maintaining routine and staying connected to school. This last image is a tweet I saw the other day. A little girl crying between lessons, no doubt feeling the stress, anxiety, disconnection, and fear that many of us are experiencing, regardless of our role or age. My own daughter had a similar moment recently. She missed her sweet teacher and, of course, her friends. Our kids miss their teachers and friends and the amazing deep learning that happens in that social environment. With these voices in mind, here are two questions that have been front of mind for the elementary math team. How might we connect with students to learn the strategies they are using and where they are in learning? And how might we provide feedback to move each student forward in her or his learning? Can I add one more? When I think of that little girl and her tears, I know we also need this. How might we continue to build and support classroom community in an NTI environment? So why number talks? Before we look at the technology tools, let's think about how number talks are a powerful routine for promoting student agency and engagement. For the same reasons we love them in our physical classrooms, we can love number talks in our virtual classrooms. Everyone has a voice. The priority is on thinking and strategies and not on correct or incorrect answers. By hearing their peers explain their thinking, students are building schema to connect what they already know to new ideas and ways of problem solving. Visual tools help move students from concrete to abstract thinking. Multiple solution paths show that all ideas are valued in the classroom. We promote a growth mindset when we ask our students to try something new and support their thinking along the way with thoughtful questions and strength-based feedback. What is fluency? Let's think about this in the context of our state standards. Our Kentucky standards define fluency as flexible and efficient approaches to math, knowing when to use a strategy appropriately and resulting in accurate solutions. Think about a problem like 7 plus 8. Holding 8 in their heads, many students would count on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Not very efficient. But if a student knows her doubles facts, she can realize this is a near doubles problem. Since 8 plus 8 equals 16, she just needs one less, so 15 is her solution. This is an example of developing fluency with number. In addition to number talks, our team has a wonderful collection of fluency games that students can play at home, or you can play with them through a Google Meet. They are in our NTI resources and are linked at the end of this slide deck. What does a progression of efficient, flexible, appropriate strategies look like? Let's take a look at Jenny Bay Williams' work on the next slide. These images are from Dr. Bay Williams' book, Math Fact Fluency. When planning a number talk, consider these questions. What is the fluency standard for my grade level? Which of these strategies are my students already using successfully and routinely? Which groups of students are ready for a next level strategy? And how might I support their thinking with a specific string of problems or images? Planning and conducting a number talk can look very similar in the online environment as it does in your physical classroom. The teacher should start with posing a problem. It might be an abstract expression focusing on a particular mathematical operation, or it could be an image like an arrangement of dots where students are asked, How many dots do you see and how do you see them? In order to practice subitizing. Students use mental math to think of strategic ways to solve the problem. Hand signals can be incorporated, including a fist at the chest to indicate the student is thinking, and a thumbs up to let you know when they are ready to share a solution with a strategy. When most of the students are indicating their readiness, accept and record all the answers. Think, what could the answer be? Then ask a volunteer to defend a solution. The student should explain their thinking with strategies or tools, maybe even explaining what the picture looks like in their head. As you record, name and claim the student thinking and their strategies. Illustrate and make it visual. Ask them, what is the picture in your head? Try and draw or record as much as you can true to what the student is saying. Ask the rest of the students if they agree or disagree, and allow the students who solve the problem in a different way to show their thinking. Then repeat with a second intentional problem, building on the first, or a second image to continue the subitizing practice. At the end of this slide deck is a page with links referenced throughout the presentation. Included there is this digital planning guide with helpful questions, as well as 2 PDFs of images from the Sherry Parrish books. Here's an idea for conducting a number talk in real time using Google Meet and Jamboard in our virtual classrooms. While there are advantages to both synchronous and asynchronous number talks, Google Meet allows you to work with a small group of students and to be present in the number talk alongside of them and your students with their peers, allowing for immediate feedback and learning from each other. Let's start with Google Meet. Think about how many students you'd like to have in your Meet at one time. We encourage you to start small and build from there as you see what a comfortable number is of students to manage and have interacting at a given time. In the NTI support links for teachers, there's a wonderful resource from our JCPS digital team on how to manage your Google Meet and keep it secure. I encourage you to check that out for more information. Be sure to set norms for your virtual environment. Think about how you might want to manage your classroom online and how you want students to indicate that they want to share or ask a question. For example, what do you do if you can't see a student, if their camera isn't working? If you haven't downloaded the GridView extension for your Chromebook or laptop, I encourage you to do that as well so you can get a better view of your students all in the same space. Now let's think about Jamboard. Jamboard is an app within the Google Suite that our students already have access to through their Waffle. We're going to go and create a board in a second, and I'll show you some of the features you can use as you conduct your number talk. As you look at this, think about a few ways that you might like to organize your number talk groups or your problems. This will help you name your board and keep yourself organized in the space. Within each Jamboard, you'll also want to think about how you might like to use or organize your frames. For example, do you want one frame per problem or a frame for each group? Decide on how you will share your Jamboard. Will students have view-only rights, or will they be able to edit the board and include their own drawings or post-it notes? And what visual elements would you like to include? Here's my Jamboard home. I got to this page through my Google account by clicking on the waffle and going to Jamboard. You can see I already have some boards created. I'm going to go to this one called Number Talk Demo, but notice down in the lower right-hand corner is the yellow circle with the plus sign. This is where you could click to start a brand new board. Here I am in my Jamboard. The pages within the Jamboard are known as frames. Up here in the top right under the title, I can zoom in or zoom out on those frames as I might need to look closer at something. I can change the background of the frame, so I have the solid white as well as solid blue or chalkboard, black frame. I can change to grid paper. There's also lined paper, dot paper, but I'm going to leave this on solid white. Over here on the left are my tools. This first tool is the pen tool. When I click on it, you'll notice I have 4 different types of pens that'll make different kinds of marks on the board, and I can also change the colors. So I have this one on blue. Then I can come over here and I can write a problem. I'm using the mouse trackpad on my laptop to write that, but if you have a touch screen or an iPad, you can download this as an app and then use a stylus to write by hand. The second icon here is the erase, and I can use that to kind of come over here and scribble and erase whatever I might not need anymore. Then Then I have this square here for the sticky note. This is like a virtual Post-it note. When you click on it, you can type on it. So this is a great way to preset your Jamboard for your number talk. So if I want my first problem to be 19 plus 2, I can go ahead and type that on here, and I can change the color, make this blue, and save it. I can use the arrow, the select tool, to click on my Post-it note. I can click and drag and move it around. I can enlarge it, make it smaller. I can rotate it around and kind of arrange it however I like. If I need to edit it, I can either double click, and from here I can make changes, or I can use the 3 dots in the top right hand corner to delete it altogether, to duplicate it, or to edit from here. So I'm going to come in and change this one back to yellow and save. Here in the top in the middle, this is where I can change the frames of my board. So I'm going to click to my second frame and show you a number talk I did with my nephew and my kids the other day. We did the problem 19 plus 5 together, and for this I had the kids in a Google Meet, and then I sent them a link to this Jamboard through the chat of the Google Meet. I have the settings on view only, so the kids couldn't write or move anything around, and I was working on this from my iPad, so I was using my stylus to write things out as the kids explained their thinking. Lucy started solving 19 plus 5 by thinking of taking 1 away from the 5 and giving that 1 to the 19. She knew that 19 plus 1 would give 20, a friendly number. And then she did 20 plus 4 to equal 24. Hudson, my nephew in first grade, he decided to use the number frames that I had set up in the top right-hand corner, and he took one of those chips from the right side and moved it over to make a full 10 frame on the left. 2 10 frames let him know that he had 10 plus 10, which was 20, and then he saw 4 left over on the right to get 24. Let me show you how I incorporated that visual element in my Jamboard. MathLearningCenter.org is the home of the Bridges in Mathematics series. They also have wonderful free virtual manipulatives that you can use on your laptop, Chromebook, or download as an iPad app. No login or email is required to access these tools. Here are 2 of the apps that might be most helpful for number talks. On the left are the number frames that are wonderful for creating dot images for subitizing practice. And on the right are the base 10 blocks known as number pieces that can help support addition and subtraction. Let me show you how you can create an image using these manipulatives and share it to your Jamboard. This is the Math Learning Center resources page. I'm going to scroll down to number pieces, and I'm going to open it as a web app. You'll also see the links there to download for your Apple device or Chromebook. Remember, the problem we were doing was 19 plus 5. So I'm going to start by coming over here to the left and dragging over 1 10 stick, and then a second that I'm going to use to create my 19. Right now I can see that this is one piece because of the blue background behind the whole shape. Down here at the bottom, I have an icon for breaking those pieces apart. When I click on that 10 stick will now become 10 individual ones. I can click on one of those, click off and then click one of those, and drag it over to separate, so now I have 9 left in this stack. I'm going to use my mouse to click and drag to select these 9 together. Try that again. It's a little tricky to do sometimes with the trackpad. There we go. And now I can move them as a group, and I want to keep them next to the 10 to represent my 19. And remember, the problem was 19 plus 5, so I already have this one. I can come down here to the bottom. In the middle, I have a duplicate option. So with that selected, I can click it and duplicate that. Or I can come to my ones, and I can drag over as many more as I need to create my 5 for this problem. There's other options down here like changing the color or enlarging them, making them bigger or smaller. But I've got my problem here set up to be 19 plus 5. So now I need to share this back to my Jamboard. Down here is the image, the icon for share. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to copy the image. And this is where it gets really cool. I'm going to click, hold, and drag. Holding this down, I'm going to click and drag onto my Number Talk demo Jamboard. And now here is my image, and I dragged that using the tabs at the top of my screen. I can bring that over here, and now I have 19 plus 5 number pieces to help support my students' thinking. Here's the next problem in the sequence we did, 19 plus 8. Here, Hudson decided to take 9 from the 19 and count on 8 more to get 17. He took that 10 that he was holding, he added that back on at the end, 17 plus 10 to get 27. Lucy used the thinking of the number of frames from before, and she was pretty sure the answer was 27, but she confirmed her thinking by taking one of those red chips from the right side, filling in the 10 frame to see 2 full 10 frames of 10. 10 plus 10 is 20, and 7 left over. John wanted to add on to Hudson's reasoning because he said anything plus 10, the 0 becomes what you are adding. So 17 plus 10 is 27. This gave me a great chance to kind of push on his thinking and get at the conceptual understanding that he had instead of relying on maybe a trick or a rule that he didn't quite all the way understand. You can see I've used the Post-it notes here to name the student thinking and describe their strategies and kind of annotate the work that we were doing. The last problem in this intentional sequence is 19 plus 12, and this is kind of the mountaintop of this particular number talk. This is where we were going the whole time, where we wanted to get to. And I was so proud of Hudson, my first grade nephew. He saw the 19 plus 12. He decomposed so that he had 10 plus 10 to get 20. Then he had his 9 and 2 to get 11. And he was able to decompose these numbers and then put them back together in a way that made sense and get the solution of 31. I had so much fun doing this number talk with the kids the other day, and of course, they love any opportunity to see each other on Google Meet, just to see each other's faces, but to be able to also hear them compare strategies and talk about math was really fun. So these are the questions we considered as we began our work today. By meeting with our students and allowing us to hear their thinking, question them, allowing them to hear from their peers and think about another student's reasoning, we're not only pushing their learning forward, but we're also keeping them connected with us as teachers and with their classmates and friends. We are holding our community together with the power of thinking strategies and discourse. Here are some additional questions to extend our thinking. How might we use the evidence of student thinking gained in number talks to plan next steps in learning? How might we continue to intentionally incorporate the 8 standards of math practice through NTI instruction and beyond? What ideas do you have? Tweet them and use our hashtag JCPSKYMath to share them with our community. Thank you so much for joining me today. As we wrap up, please take a moment to reflect on how you might use number talks to support your students when it comes to building their conceptual understanding and enhancing their sense of connection to you and their classmates. Our email addresses and Twitter handles are below, as well as information on the elementary math virtual office hours. Please reach out if you have questions, want to brainstorm or bounce ideas around, or even just share the celebrations and wins you are experiencing with your students in the NTI environment. Thank you again, and best wishes for your number talks.